Yesterday, Dr. Lolak spoke to you about some of the issues that are commonly seen in bladder cancer patients from a mental health perspective. And, knowing now there are resources that are out there, I hope that opened everybody's eyes a little bit, made you think both from a caregiver perspective and from a patient perspective. A diagnosis of bladder cancer can be very stressful, and it can put you in some dark places and make it really hard for you to manage your disease well and manage your life well. And so today we've had a really great opportunity this morning to actually do some meditative practice. And we have two wonderful patient advocates that are joining us via Zoom. Obviously, because of health reasons and COVID and other things, they weren't able to get here. But we still decided we would be able to do what we were going to do with them online and here in person. So even though these are probably not the most comfortable chairs, I'm going to urge you to get comfy, and we're going to do some practice this morning. Regular meditative practice has a powerful impact on the mind and the body. It can help renew and rewire the brain, bring us all kinds of benefits. As you heard from Dr. Lolak yesterday, it can lead to contentment and well-being, help with resilience and focus. If you can, really meditate and be mindful and present, you can focus on the problem at hand, which for some people at some stages is, how do I go through the next treatment round, or what do I have to do? It can lead to better mental and physical health, greater empathy and compassion. And mindfulness is a very big, broad aspect. And we're going to hear from Jerome Freeman about the mindfulness aspect of meditative practice, but we're going to add a little bit of a spiritual sense to it from John Lancey. Spiritual meditation focuses on developing a deeper understanding behind the spiritual religious meanings and connections to a higher power. It's a little bit unlike other forms of meditation, because spiritual meditation is more about being at peace than stress reduction or relaxation, but just kind of being present and being in the moment. So I encourage you to get comfy. If you need to slip your shoes off, you can do that. I would very much like to introduce two of our fabulous patient advocates, Jerome Freeman and John Lancey. They have really developed their own spiritual practice of mindfulness and healing. And I'd like to ask them to kind of share a couple of words. Oh, there you are. I see you down on the bottom now. Have you guys. So introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit, John and Jerome, about how you got started with this idea of mindfulness and centering yourself in your own diagnosis. So John, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm John Lancey. I am a patient advocate, and I was diagnosed in 2014 with low-grade bladder cancer. BCG did not work, and so in 2015, I had a radical cystectomy, and they also, as the doctor said, we're going to give you a twofer. They took the prostate out as well. Found out I had prostate cancer that hadn't shown up, so, in a sense, it saved my life. But for me, mindfulness goes back all the way to before the earth cooled. Well, at least for me. I've been a religious studies professor for over 40 years, and mindfulness is critical to the understanding of religion. I want to highlight right away, though, that there's a difference between spirituality and religion. We're not going to be talking about religion today. Actually, excuse me, I'm not even sure we're going to talk about spirituality particularly, because there isn't that much in my mind, and I suspect with Jerome's, there isn't that much of a difference. So I will leave it there right now and hand it over to Jerome.
Okay, Jerome, you're up.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Stephanie. And thanks to Morgan for all her help in preparing for this. And it's an honor and a privilege to speak to you today. And this is a hard act to follow, especially on the footsteps of Dr. Lovak, who did an excellent job yesterday. I was very pleased with what he said. And I was also pleased with the bladder sparing protocol that was spoken about in the session with the doctors. And that's how I proceeded 25 years ago, actually almost 26 years ago. when I first had bladder cancer, I opted for a bladder sparing protocol. And here it is, almost 26 years, and I still have my bladder. So I'm a mindfulness meditation teacher. I've been teaching mindfulness for about 14 years, and I've been uh, ordained by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh in order to do so. And I'm in finishing up my work in the Mindfulness Meditation Teacher Certification Program, which will certify me even further. So I'm very happy to be here and thank you.
Well, this is wonderful. We're really excited to have you both join us via Zoom and have you all participate today, this morning. And so I'd like to start your slides. Thank you, Morgan.
So welcome everybody. I welcome all races. I welcome all genders. I welcome all abilities. I welcome all diagnoses. All are welcome from the unceded land of the Miwok, coastal Miwok tribes. We're going to do a deep dive into a few concepts rather than trying to cover a lot of material. I've created a website for you to find extensive resources once the summit is completed, and you will have access to that at the end of the talk. So I'm going to invite the bell, and this is the bell. It's a symbol of bringing us back to our true home. So as I invite the bell, I invite you to listen carefully.
Jerome,
Yeah?
can you put him back on video in a small box? Is that possible? Hold on, we're just putting it in there so you can kind of see what he's doing. Maybe Jerome, while they're setting the video up so that you're being seen along with your slides, would you explain the bell and what the symbolism of the bell does in mindfulness?
Sure. In our tradition, the Plum Village tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, the bell is considered to be a bell of mindfulness. It's a time for us to pause, take a breath, and become aware of what we are doing in the present moment right now. So I'm going to invite the bell and offer a grounding practice. So I invite you to sit comfortably, close your eyes, perhaps have your feet on the floor, and listen, listen, listen. This life is the gift of the whole universe, the earth, the sky, and many generations. May we live in mindfulness in order to enjoy the wonders of life and awaken from our illusion of separateness. So I invite you to withdraw yourself into yourself and feel your connection to the earth through your chair, through your couch, through your bed, whether you're standing or sitting or lying down. The earth is what connects us all to this planet, our one true home, our only home. By recognizing how you are connected to the earth, you become a part of the earth. Be aware of no other spaces but these spaces. Be aware of no other times but these times. Be here, be now, be here now. I'll end with a bell.
Okay, you can all open your eyes.
Next slide, please.
Here we go. So Jerome, that was very good. I have one of the bell. We even have a backup bell today if we needed it. I'm wondering, we talk about mindfulness, meditation, all the other things. I know what we really want to do is focus on mindfulness. And this quote here was on your website. And when I was looking at it last week, I thought, it's a wonderful quote by Jon Kabat-Zinn. Can you just go through it and unpack it a little bit for us, please?
Yeah, thank you, John. Yes, I will. So mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally, as if your life depended upon it. So what is it? Well, first of all, attention in mindfulness. Many people talk about attention. And Helen Palmer says, energy follows attention. Dan Siegel has written that neurons that wire together, fire together, and make neural pathways. You might think that soldiers in the Ukraine are being mindful because their attention is on their target, but that's not mindfulness. And you'll see why as we unpack the rest of the definition. The particular way is that we turn into ourselves. We pay attention inward. We try to see things as they really are without judgment. And then we notice how things change. Things are always change. Nothing lasts forever. On purpose means, for instance, calm abiding in the present moment, insight, visualization, relaxation, lots of purposes that are wholesome to begin with. The soldier doesn't have that kind of purpose. Present moment is right now. We're not lost in the past. We're not dreaming about the future. We're just staying present right now, non-judgmentally. This means we're not judging our experience in one way or another, and we're not attached to the results. So when I teach this class, normally I go into a long story about a Taoist farmer who has a white horse. And the white horse jumps the fence and runs away. And the villagers come back and tell him, oh, what bad luck you've had. And the Taoist, who's a brilliant man, says, do not judge my luck. You never can tell what's going to happen. So 10 days later, the horse comes back with 10 other horses, And so now he has 11 horses and he's the richest man in the valley. And the villagers come and say, "Oh, what good luck you have." And the farmer says, "Oh, don't judge that either." And the story goes on and on and on. And I'm going to keep it short here. But I just wanted to point out that judging doesn't help one way or the other in terms of healing. Judging is something that we all get caught up in. And Stephanie, you wanted to ask something about judging our experience in healing.
Right. Yeah, everybody is at a very different place in their diagnosis. Maybe you're in treatment right now. Maybe you're through your treatment and you're just waiting for that next scan to make sure that the treatment worked. And I think what the story tells us is you just don't know what's going to be next. So be present and appreciate what you have in the greater scheme of things as you're on this journey. We'd like to say, be really like your doctor, because chances are pretty good you'll be seeing your doctor for the rest of your life, because they're going to be involved in your care for the rest of your life, because bladder cancer is not a one and done kind of a thing. It has this potential always to be a threat. And so be present in today, where you are right now. And I think that's that element of the story. When Jerome had shared that with me while we were practicing, I'm like, well, we need to talk about that. So that was really what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Stephanie. And then when we talk about as if your life depended upon it, John Kabat-Zinn usually says it usually does.
Mhm.
Mindfulness and healing. Next slide, please.
And here's where I jump in just a little bit. I think it's important to recognize that quote from John Kabat-Zinn, which you've seen enough, we don't have to return to it. That can apply to spiritual healing as well as Taoist healing or anything else. And so I think with mindfulness, I think what we need to do next, which we've already obviously rehearsed this, but what's interesting is what Jerome has to say when I asked him, can you bring mindfulness and healing together? So do it.
Okay, thank you. Mindfulness and healing means applying the skillful means of mindfulness and meditation techniques to maintain an attitude of presence and calm abiding for what is happening right now in the present moment, just as it is in our lives, to improve our chances of healing. So in my 25 plus years of living with bladder cancer, with muscle invasive bladder cancer, I know for sure that my healing has come from being present with whatever was happening in the present moment. All the different 8 episodes of cancer, all the episodes of BCG, all the cystoscopies, all the TURs, they all added up. And I wasn't ever particularly bothered by any of them except probably the first one, because then I was just getting used to the idea that this was a lifelong experience.
Mm-hmm.
But being present and taking life as it is made it possible for me to be alive. Next Saturday, I'll turn 83, and I'm still teaching, still active, still working, and I'm happy to be here. So, could I have the next slide, please? So here's a list of some benefits, but I want to go over some specific benefits that aren't that may be on this list, but I'm not going to read through that list. You can see it on the resources page. But what I'm thinking about in the why of mindfulness is not getting lost in the story of what's going on with our healing, with our all of our medical appointments. You know, we can easily get lost, and we can get really out of it if we allow ourselves to do so. But not judging our experience gives us a chance to stay on our window of tolerance throughout all of our treatment and recovery. And this helps us deal with our life circumstances just as they are, to handle stress and pressure so that the cancer doesn't bother us too much. That's not such an easy thing to do. I think it takes a lot of practice, and it takes a daily practice actually to calm the mind enough each day to be thankful for what we do. My wife used to tell the girls when they were growing up, to desire what you don't have is to waste what you do have. And ever since then, they've had a real strong sense of gratitude. And we need a special, consistent, skillful means for obtaining this. So we also another benefit that I'd like to talk about is understanding the nature of our mind, how everything changes from moment to moment, from minute to minute. Things change, and we have to notice that and accept that. And we begin to cultivate compassion for our thinking mind and for ourselves, which helps us to stay present. And we begin to understand our human experience of healing versus cure. And next slide, please, John.
It took me, I cannot believe that it took me over 70 years to realize that there's a difference between being healed and being cured. Can we get the next slide? There we go. Now here you're going to see there's a little bit of a difference between Jerome and me on this, but I don't think it's a great difference. Jerome articulates this really well, I think. I just put a different spin on it. Healing is the process of the restoration of health for someone who is unbalanced, diseased, or damaged. So healing is like a recovery of wellness and wholeness. If there is going to be a cure, the cure can be the end of the result of healing, the healing process. But here's where we definitely agree. One can be healed and not cured. You know, when I talk to different people at pharmaceutical companies and also hospitals and things like that, I look at all the people who have helped me to be healed, even though I'm in right now my second year of immunotherapy dealing with the diagnosis of stage 4 metastatic bladder cancer. I focus personally not on the curing, because I don't see that if it comes, great. If I get a radical remission, I would be delighted. But for me, I want to focus on the healing and the way that I heal others as well as me being healed, the way that the people who care for me, the people who love me, all the clinicians, those people, all of our patient advocates, they're part of this healing. And if a cure results from that, I say great. But I focus, I think, on the love. One place, though, that I think we both agree is that healing comes from within. A cure may come from what, you know, our clinicians may help us into, but healing comes from here inside. And I think that's an important thing to remember. And that's the connection for me between healing and mindfulness.
Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
So how about we do a little practice? This will be about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. starts with a bell. I invite you to become comfortable in your chair. Notice your feet on the ground. You might want to take 3 deep breaths. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. And listen, listen, listen to the sound of the bell. Now I invite you to withdraw yourself into yourself and become aware of your body sitting there or lying there or standing there. And notice how you are connected to the earth. Be aware of no other spaces but these spaces. Be aware of no other times but this time. Be here, be now, be here now. I invite you to notice your in-breath when you breathe in, and to notice your out-breath when you breathe out. To help you do this, when you breathe in, you might say to yourself, in. When you breathe out, you might say to yourself, out. Practice this for a few moments. In, out. In, out. In, out. This is a practice you can do every day in the morning after you wake up for 5 or 9 minutes. In, out. You can do it in the evening before you go to bed. in, out. In a moment, I'll invite the bell to end this short meditation period. You can practice this at home anytime you feel like relaxing, calming yourself, and coming back to the present moment.
If it were up to me, we'd spend the next 15 minutes doing this. But we do have time constraints here. I'm wondering if you want to take 1 minute and talk to people at your, we can't see you, so I'm not sure, but you normally are at tables. Just spend a minute and react. How did it feel? Maybe very quickly, if you had an experience before, share it. And think about something. By the time we're done, we're hoping we'll have some time for conversation. This would be the time to formulate a question, perhaps, or a comment, or an experience you've had. But just take 1 minute and chat.
To the people at your table, how was that for you to sit quietly for 3 minutes? I did peek. Most of you had your eyes closed. You were breathing smoothly. How was it?
Read this quote from my teacher, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away in January of this year. We have a lamp inside us, the lamp of mindfulness, which we can light anytime. The oil of that lamp is our breathing, our steps, and our peaceful smile. And this leads us to what is meditation?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the process of exercising the mind in such a way as to bring about mindfulness. And for this, we want to develop a daily practice. I recommend for beginners to start with 9 minutes a day because that's a reasonable length of time, but even 5 minutes a day could work. And you can refer to my website for more information about 9-minute meditation. And then the thing that has really changed my life more than anything else is the practice of mindfulness in daily life. For example, when I wash the dishes, I only wash the dishes. I don't wash my problems. I don't wash my diagnosis. I don't wash my cancer. I just wash the dishes. When I fold the laundry, same thing. I just fold the laundry. When I do vacuuming, I just do vacuuming. And this goes on in daily life as I move through my day. And it's and every day I try to have a period of about 30 minutes of walking meditation, which is to walk outside slowly and notice people, animals, plants, trees, the flowing brook or stream or creek, all of the wonders of life. And a lot of people get a lot of advantage out of retreats and conferences like this one, where they can come and learn and relax and understand the benefits of taking on a daily practice. Next slide, please.
Yeah, next slide, please.
So these were the 7 strategies that I applied to my son's healing in 1979 when he had um, metastatic kidney cancer called a Wilms tumor. And in my life, when I first had cancer back in 1997, and we've talked about practice daily meditation. There's only one more of the things on here that I want to mention, and that's support groups. Support groups are good for connections with other people, with family and friends. And it's important to cultivate co-regulation with these other people to help us stay in our window of tolerance. When we discuss our situation with other people and they discuss their situation with us, we both benefit. And when we share our experience with others in the same boat, we get the feeling that, this is common humanity. People get sick. There's no way of escaping being sick. So I'm going to end this presentation with a lot of thanks and gratitude for being here, and I thank you for listening. Everything can be taken from a person except one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And this is by Dr. Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning. And I hope you can find meaning in your healing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerome. So Stephanie, I'm sitting here, I can't hear anything. So I was just wondering, we have about 7 or 8 minutes for conversation reactions. I'm wondering, anyone have any questions for either of us? Anyone want to share an experience maybe that popped up at your table? What's your own experience of healing?
I think, having those resources, there were a lot of things that Jerome put together on that page. So we'll make sure that you get that if you'd like to have that address. So we can make sure that you have it. Perhaps we can put it up on the break so you could jot it down in your notebook or on your notes page that I gave you yesterday. So let's start with the first question.
Yes, I was wondering, does this mindfulness training have any relation with yoga? And can mindfulness techniques we just did, can that be combined with yoga?
The answer for that is a definite yes. In fact, my daughter's prominent yoga teacher in San Francisco, and she does exactly that. She combines mindfulness with yoga, and she is blossoming as well-known teacher there. My first experience actually was with yoga back in 1968, and my first real teacher was Swami Rama of the Himalayas, who was the first person to be examined by medical science for his yogic powers. And he's the one that taught me about meditation as well as yoga. So thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Anybody else plan to incorporate some of these principles?
Good morning, John. Jerome.
Good morning,
John De La
sir.
Garza. John De La Garza here. John Lancey.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I see the back of your head.
Go into this notion of healing, not versus cure, but healing and cure.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's always been not a fascinating, but an extremely interesting way for me to look at life, and it's helped me over a few bumps. Could you go into that a little more deeply, please? healing, cure.
Well, before you give up the microphone, John, what do you think?
Teacher, yes.
Yeah.
John, if you want to turn around, we can actually see your face on the screen. So just turn around and look at the camera behind you.
Well, there it is.
Don't be frightened, anyone. He doesn't hurt.
I'm just scary. That's all.
That's all.
I've come to over the years, I've come to the understanding there is not a difference, but a companion kind of accompaniment of healing and cure. Healing to me is this notion of really, it's kind of like mindfulness, I guess. It's that notion of understanding where you are, when you are, and trying to accept that. And at the same time, in that journey, finding others who may be on that same journey with you to help you come to the end of that journey, whatever it might be, but in a healthy mental outlook on life. I guess that's a clumsy way of saying it.
I don't think so. I think,
You don't think it's clumsy, right?
I don't think it's a clumsy way of putting it, as I went. I wasn't denying everything John said. But I would add, here's something more to think about when we're talking about healing, and more about healing. A lot of what I've read, some of even what you just said, John, focuses on the mind, which is so important. But one of the things that I like when I think about healing, not the difference between healing and mindfulness, but it's just another thing I throw into the pot of the maelstrom of my life. Healing is more than just me feeling or thinking about healing. It's me actually feeling it within. And so I think the body is involved in this, which is why yogurt, I think, is helpful too. Listen to me, yoga. I'm an old Catholic from way back. When I was a kid, yoga was considered pagan, so we weren't even allowed to think about it. Now, of course, it's all been. Go ahead.
We've come a long way.
We've
come a long way, haven't we?
Yeah. But
Thanks,
I mean, that's what I would say. Yeah.
My 2
Jerome,
cents.
anything to add to that?
Yeah, my 2 cents is that healing, when you become your own advocate and take charge of your healing, you recognize the importance of making lifestyle changes, of investigating alternatives, about being really careful about your meditation, your medical team, amassing people care for you and will be there for you, rather than want to order you to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You want medical practitioners that want to hear what you have to say about it. And I am blessed to have had plenty of doctors that just take my word for what I want to do and don't try to talk me into a procedure that I don't want to have. And then, like I was talking about, the support groups are just so beneficial for healing. And the end result is living your life fully with the cancer. And now I started immunotherapy 4.5 years ago, and I'm still on it because my cancer was so virulent. It came back every other year or so for 25 years. And I just needed a way to take care of myself because nobody else was going to do that except for my wife and my family and my friends. But it's really important to consider all of the factors in the 7 principles of mindfulness and healing, or the 7 strategies, because they promote healing more than just listening to what the doctors have to say.
Mm-hmm. And I would say too, about healing and all of what we're talking about, do indeed go to Jerome's website. He has an excellent bibliography. You know, I've read a lot of the stuff in there, but you can get lost in there. It's so good. The stuff is so good. There's so much good reading to do about this. I would definitely recommend that.
There's another question in the corner, Jack. So Jim, if you want to stand up and look at the video camera when you ask your question, at least people online can see who's saying it.
I'm not sure they want to see me this early in the morning. But John, you and I have been together before.
Yes.
I don't know if you okay.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The question I have, how important is the breathing in the healing process and the relaxation? I had the good fortune of studying diaphragm breathing in the Orient, to where it promotes blood flow, you know, with the relaxation process. So can you speak to that? Have you looked at that at all? The breathing from the diaphragm in your relaxation process?
Jerome, you want to take that one? Because
Yes,
don't.
I will. I'd love
Yeah.
to take that one. I'll tell you that when Swami Rama taught me to do that, it became a practice. And now it's something that happens naturally. Diaphragmatic breathing is a really good thing to do, whether you're practicing meditation or you're just living your daily life. Once you get used to it, it doesn't go away. It's something that is, maybe that's what's kept me alive. Who knows? There are just so many factors you can't know. And just like the farmer, I'm not going to try to judge what was beneficial and what wasn't. But having that kind of breathing is a skillful means for mindfulness, for daily life, for living. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, and I think too that anyone who does, you know, I think mindfulness, you know, maybe 9 minutes a day is a really great way to start. But what happens is after a while you start living mindfully. And I know, for instance, when I was going through my initial when I was initially being treated, the mouth doesn't quite work. It's I used the meditation exercises and the mindfulness exercises before I would even have my blood pressure taken when I would go to the doctors. And I'd be hysterical inside at some level, you know, monkey mind, it's called, I believe. But by the time they took my blood pressure, it was calm. I couldn't believe it. So, this is anecdotal. This isn't, I haven't read any studies about it. But it certainly seems to me that in my life, it's calmed me down. And, my blood pressure continues to be down. My health continues to be good. And I think most importantly, the connection between good attitude and health in general, I think, is there. But I'm no scientist, so.